Book 1, Law of Salimi Chapter 60, Other Hidden Abilities. It might seem that I had another hidden ability that might be beyond my own volition and control. At times, I could hear things that were spoken by others from different rooms. One reason that might be the most paramount reason that I managed to change my life from being a bad human being into a better Muslim was probably due to one particular consistent event that had occurred to me without my consciousness. This particular story was referring to the discovery from hearing a discussion that occurred between my mother and another person whom I can't remember and doesn't seem to be too important in the storyline of this event. It seemed that I heard that my mother explained how she had to wake up every night and pray to Allah the Almighty so that I could change from being a bad monster to a good Muslim. In addition from the constant prayer, she also recited Quranic verses based on the teachings of Islam where it was recited over a glass of water. It seemed that she had used the water to make me drinks, which I drank regularly without my own knowledge. She prayed and worked hard over a long duration of time until I finally reached the stage of my life where I had received the guidance, or hidayah, or path, or tawfiq, where had led me to where I am today. It seemed that she had played a huge role in changing my heart by praying to Allah the Merciful and had kept this knowledge as a secret until this very day. I merely discovered it by chance and possibly by the will of Allah the Almighty from hearing her discussion that was clearly never meant for me to listen or knew about. Nonetheless, I would like to highlight this commitment from a mother who had spent countless of sleepless nights to focus on prayer to Allah the Merciful and wished for her son, which was me in case you did not notice, to be shown in the light of guidance from Allah the Almighty. It took a serious effort and a long duration of time of great patience to keep on praying to Allah the All-Knowing so that one day I would change from bad to a good Muslim. That finally happened when I reached the age of 17 years old. What I wish to convey in this chapter was the fact that a mother should never give up on their children, no matter how bad that child might turn out to be in their upbringing. In my case, it took about 17 years before I decided to walk the path of Islam and pursuit of knowledge and truth in my life. To parents out there, do not give up on your children and always pray for them. I am extremely grateful to Allah the Merciful for having such a great mother who practiced the teachings of Islam throughout her life and had lived her life in absolute moderation. As I spent most of my time being close to her, I felt that I had followed her way of life, which was practicing Islam as a way of life. She always spent every Monday and Thursday by performing fasting, which was sunnah or the practice of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As I grew alongside her, I followed her and practice of fasting on Monday and Thursday became my routine since I started to change from bad to good. In addition, I also began adopting her practice of eating in moderation instead of the practice of relishing the discovery of food as commonly practiced by the masses society who were known as foodie. They loved to eat and would spend a huge amount of time, money and effort in their pursuit of the best and most delicious delicacies achievable on earth. I am sorry for those who call themselves as foodie because I felt that such practice were in line with the concept of hedonism, which was in opposition from the teachings of Islam, Maqasid Sharia, and the true essence and spirit of Islam, Tesi. I do not wish to cause any harm, but I just wish to state that the practice embraced by foodies seemed to be against the teachings of Islam. It was highlighted by a book written by Imran and Hussein in 1997, which include two of the following verses in the Quran. Eat of the good and wholesome things, and which we have provided for your sustenance, but commit no excess therein, lest my wrath justly descend on you. and those on whom my wrath descends surely perish. From the Quran, Surah Taha, Surah 20, from ayat 81. And eat and drink, but do not be immoderate and intemperate. Verily, he does not love those who are immoderate or intemperate. Quran, verse Al-A'raf, verses 7, ayat 31. Both verses had focused on warnings against the practice of excessive consumption in life. I do not claim that all foodie practices excessive consumption, but I had observed that the belief and notion to pursue for delicious food could develop on a problematic culture. In some cases, it might cause the person to be diverted from the goals of Islam, such as pursuing this delicious food instead of the pursuit of knowledge and learning in their lifetime. Moreover, I had observed that people who would attend forums and conventions of knowledge by paying thousands of dollars for entrance will focus on the delicious food served instead of concentrating on the knowledge discussed. Furthermore, I had numerous friends who were willing to travel a huge length of distance, spending a massive amount of time and great effort in order to savor certain food that was located in another state for dinner. I simply cannot understand their passion for food because my lifestyle that implement moderation of living had virtually zero desire to pursue for delicious food. Of course, I prefer a good tasting food instead of one that lacks flavor, but I do not expend any effort towards pursuing delicious food. When I was living alone, I managed to consume only my basic necessity when it comes to food and nourishment in life. Currently, it was quite difficult for me when I was not the person in charge of managing food in my life, since there are a lot of people who love to cook, which include my mother. While she only consumes in absolute moderation, she seemed to cook beyond her own consumption level, which left me with constantly available food on the table. I did my best to control my food consumption, but I felt that I might not be able to achieve my ideal weight when food were readily available. I did not blame anyone, but simply to warn the danger of foodie culture that might distort the concept of moderation living based on the teachings of Islam. Moreover, perception of the masses society has been distorted with the notions towards achieving the most ideal body image based on the unacceptable diet practice or simply unhealthy and would simply harm the society. For example, people try to achieve body image that resemble very skinny body like a supermodel, which could only be achieved by putting a diet that might cause severe lack nutrition as well as in the borderline of starvation. In addition, it breeds the notion of flavoring the practice of depriving oneself from proper amount of food, which led to anorexia nervosa syndrome in the mind of youth and members of society. While most of anorexia nervosa cases affected female members of society, the male members of society might fall prey to Adonis complex or muscle dysmorphic syndrome, which they strive to achieve musculature appearances. In doing so, both distorted perception might cause numerous health problems, especially anorexia nervosa that had high chance of causing death to its sufferers. Despite of that, it took up the available time and effort of the members of society to pursue the wrong goals in life, instead of walking the path to live moderation living and Islam as a way of life. Furthermore, the present society tend to be fascinated with the pursuit of materialistic wealth and physical success instead of focusing the preparation and knowledge for the hereafter. Gamers who were too obsessed with the pursuit of becoming the greatest player in the world, sports enthusiasts who constantly in the pursuit of achieving the most ideal body image or striving to be the best athlete in their respective field of sports, extreme sports who were in the race towards the next fix for their adrenaline junkie and addiction of extreme exhilaration in life by doing extremely dangerous activities and risking their life to fulfill their thirst of excitement. Even academicians and scholars were not spared in the race of materialistic success, where I had seen scholars who demanded huge amount of sum of money for each appearances to give an hour of talk or presentations. Students who asked for their slides were required to pay up a sum of money because how expensive of their knowledge was worth. Book authors do not write to share knowledge and truth with the society, but simply seek for fame and materialistic gain by writing popular topics that would generate millions of dollars from sales of such books that seem to lack any substance. In most institutions of learning, the completion of PhD programs were managed as manufacturing products from the factory, where every candidate were pushed to finish within certain time limitations. As a result, when they do complete their PhD program but lacking the true substance for original knowledge and exploration to seek the truth in their research, it was rather sad that most who had successfully completed their PhD program seemed to be lacking the substance that made a good scholar to be truly great in terms of the wealth of knowledge. In addition, they were required to publish papers, and huge sums of money were offered for doing so, instead of truly allowing academicians to research through quality of knowledge. Business person makes millions and billions of money and seem to be hoarding those wealth while keeping it away from the masses society who were left in deprivation and suffering. The rich get richer and the poor gets poorer, which result in wider gap of income disparity in our present society from all over the world. Riba practice had infested every existing industry globally, which further sucked the blood from the poor to be given for the rich in order to constantly sustain the imbalance and injustice of the present modern society in the present modern economy. I could go on writing about million things that was wrong in the when the teachings of Islam was not practiced, but instead let me stop here for now. I do not know whether this analytical view would be considered as a great gift or a horrendous curse, because as long as I adhere to the teachings of Islam, I simply do not care anymore. In that regards, we end the chapter 60, and thank you very much for listening for this chapter. Hope to see you again in the next video.